very much. And with that, what time do we have here? 6:03 p.m. The meeting is hereby called to order. Welcome to everybody who is here, all of our committee members. Thank you so much for giving your time yet again this evening. And to all of you in attendance in the audience, thank you for taking the time to join us this evening. I will go ahead and toss over to Madam Co-Chair to conduct the roll call.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Allison Clark.
Present.
Patricia Culp.
Present.
Ann Phillips.
I'm here. Present.
Shirley Nichols.
Present.
Ophelia Lee.
Present.
Jacqueline Rainey.
Present.
Chief Shearbaum.
Present.
Lily Ponitz.
Present.
Sharon Williams, present. Sean Billingsley.
Present.
Hollis Turner. Hollis Turner. Okay. LaShondra Burks. LaShondra Burks. Nope.
Chandra's not on yet.
Okay, thank you. Nicole Morado.
Present.
Amy Taylor.
Present.
Tori Tucker. Tori Tucker.
Tori Tucker's also not on yet.
Okay, thank you. First Deputy Chief James McLemore.
Macklemore is also not on yet.
Thank you. LaShawnette Waters.
Present.
Jerry Basin.
Present.
Dustin Hillis.
He's also not on.
Thank you. So we have quorum.
Thank you very much, Madam Co-Chair. With that, I would like to move into the adoption of the agenda for the evening. I do have a note to make, and Ms. Freeman, correct me if I'm wrong here. I believe Deputy Chief McLemore is attending a graduation this evening.
Yes, he has a recruit graduation, and so he is trying to jump onto the meeting very sparsely, kind of as much as he can throughout the evening.
Okay, perfect. And then I actually, just as a quick note to the committee, I just got a message from Tori Tucker. He is attempting to join now, so I think he needs the link to be sent to him. So I'm gonna quick break away to get him the link to the meeting. But if we could go ahead and move through, Madam Co-Chair, can you move us through the adoption of the agenda and the minutes while I shoot this message over to Tori Tucker? And I would like to do the adoption of the agenda to indicate that the fire rescue training piece, I'd like to motion for that to be moved to our next meeting or tabled to the next meeting so that Deputy Chief McLemore will be present, obviously, to give that presentation.
Sure.
Thank you so much.
Were there any other recommended changes to either the agenda or the minutes? Seeing none, we can approve both the agenda and minutes. So we'll move to the next item on the agenda. It's the committee report. And do any of the committees have anything to report, Madam Chair?
I am back. Thank you very much, Sharon. As of now, so we are sort of circling through how to format the committees at this juncture. And so we do not have anything to report back just yet, but I do want to make mention relative to the committee report that the committee report did in fact go out to City Council, the document that was sent to each and every one of you. That has gone before City Council, as well as the community update. That portion of the report was sent out to any community members who have subscribed for email communication. And again, this is where I jump in with my monthly reminder, please share out to the members of your community the link on our website so that they can join to receive updates. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and the only opportunity for people to really hear from this committee and the work that we've been doing is to sign up, subscribe, to receive that information. And then, of course, as they do that, when there are opportunities for feedback via the surveys and or focus groups, as we are able to pull all of this together, they will have an opportunity to participate, but it has to be a choice. So just want to throw that out there. Please do share with your networks if you have not already. And with that, I think that covers the extent of the committee report. I do want to ask Mr. Freeman, I know that following last meeting, we had several, or during last meeting, we had several individuals volunteer to serve on the Green Space Committee. Did we have any other individuals come forth ahead of the, or up until the 7th? I know that's the deadline that we set.
I did have one additional addition that I did receive via email.
Okay. If you can add that to the note so that we can make sure that everybody is covered. And then between this meeting and next, of course, we will work out logistics of how we can make it such that we can meet. Miss Amy Taylor, I see your hand is raised. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, hi. I sent Allison, I sent you an email saying that I would sit with the Green Space Committee. I don't know if you got that or not, but so I'm willing to sit in on that.
Wonderful. That is perfect. I did, if I didn't respond, that's because I didn't get it. I've been making a point to respond back to everything that's come in. So I'm glad that you mentioned it here during this meeting because I did not get your message.
Okay, well, I volunteer.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Mr. Freeman, if you can add Amy Taylor to the list for the Green Space.
Got it.
Thank you so much. All righty. With that, if there are,
Madam Chair,
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. We did have LaShondra Burks just join, and I see
Okay.
James McLemore also coming into the meeting.
Okay, and I'm seeing Tori Tucker here as well.
Yes.
Okay.
That is great.
Okay. Madam Co-Chair, if you could update the roll call to indicate the attendance changes.
Yep.
Okay, and I will give Chief McLemore here, or he's coming over now.
Yep, he's coming over now.
Okay, I will hang tight.
And are we still asking him to do the report this week, or will we wait till next month when he's not multitasking?
I believe if we can wait to next month's meeting when he's not multitasking, that would likely be better.
You got it.
All right, well, while we wait for Chief McLemore to come on over, I think we can move forward with the next item on the agenda, which is the notice of proposed action. As you all will recall, last meeting, a motion was brought forth relative to Lily Ponnett's termination from the committee. The 10-day notice was sent out to Ms. Ponnett, both via email, on which all of you were copied, as well as via mail, so that a hard copy was received. That being said, that 10-day notice period has expired. And as promised, we would revisit that topic here today on our June 21st meeting. So with that, the motion was originally made by Ms. Sharon Williams. I will ask if we can restate the motion so that we can move forward with this proceeding.
Sure. So the motion was to terminate Lily Ponnett's membership on the committee in accordance with our bylaws and in consultation with Atlanta City Legal Counsel.
Thank you very much. And during the last meeting when that motion was made, Ms. Ann Phillips, you seconded the motion. Can I have you go ahead for procedural purposes, second the motion again here tonight?
Motion is second. Can you hear me?
Thank you, Ms. Phillips. With that, the question before the committee is whether or not to terminate Ms. Lily Ponnett's membership on the committee in accordance with our bylaws and in consultation with Atlanta City Legal Counsel. With that, I will put the question to the committee so that debate may be opened at this point. I will ask just that we abide by a couple of rules as we move through this so that we don't spend the entire evening on this process and to make sure that we move through this in an appropriate and respectful way. So just to lay a couple of quick ground rules, members should be recognized by the chair before taking the floor. Any discussion needs to be relevant to the immediately pending question. No member should speak more than twice on each debatable motion. If you're wishing to speak, you need to, or each member should be given an opportunity to speak at least once, should they wish, before a member can take the floor for a second time. This is something that we've exercised throughout the process. I'm going to ask that each member limit their comments to a total of 2 minutes. That way we can move through this, without eating up the entire evening's meeting with this. All remarks need to be addressed to the chair, no cross debate, and it is not permissible to speak against one's own motion, but you can vote against your own motion should you so choose. And then lastly, the debate must address issues and not personalities. No one is permitted to make personal attacks or question the motives of other speakers. All of that is outlined in Robert's Rules of Order, and I will ask that we all abide by that. Historically, that has not been a challenge for the committee, so I will ask that we move through with that process. Ms. Ann Phillips, I see that your hand is raised. Is your hand raised to speak on the motion? I think she's frozen here. Oh, there we go.
Madam Chair, if it's appropriate, I'd like to ask that Ms. Potiff be allowed to speak before we go into debate, since she has received the 10-day notice and she understands what issues are. I'm assuming she understands. I think that it would be appropriate to give her an opportunity to speak first.
Thank you for that, Ms. Phillips. What I will say is, Madam Co-Chair, Ms. Williams, because you brought the motion, you would be afforded the floor first. If you are willing to defer to Ms. Ponitz to speak first, then we will move forward accordingly.
I'm comfortable allowing Ms. Ponitz to speak first.
Absolutely.
We had the discussion last time, and Madam Chair, I just want everyone to know I will be timing, so they may hear a timer going off in the background.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Sharon. Ms. Ponitz, the chair recognizes you to take the floor.
Great, yeah, thanks, Anne and Shannon. So I think I don't have a whole lot to add apart from what I sent over email a couple of days ago. And I think that just in seeing, I wasn't here in the last meeting, and just seeing the discussion that took place in some notes, I felt that there was not much acknowledgement of the expertise and the experience that I bring to the committee, and perhaps why, I have a different viewpoint. And so I felt that maybe reiterating that I am an environmental engineer, I have worked on site development permits and site remediation permits, and have a good understanding of what the environmental due diligence process should be in an ideal world, means that maybe I'm more critical, and that my explanation really for why my critical comments are out there in the press is because I expressed them on this committee. And I also thought it was important for transparency for others who are following this project to understand that these questions are being asked, and just understand that there is somebody representing the voice of the people who are concerned about the environmental and the ethical implications of this project. So that's how I feel I operate in this committee, in terms of offering some accountability and some transparency. And it seemed like perhaps other people in the committee were made uncomfortable by that, and I never intended for that to be the outcome, but I understand that some of you felt that I was maybe speaking on your behalf, which was not my intention. I just want to, be a part of this, because I think that I bring a perspective that is really critical and really important, and shutting me out at this point after I've offered a lot of input on the reports that have been given to us feels wrong. Honestly, it just feels like it's bypassing of somebody who could be helping provide accountability. So yeah, that's all I want to say. Thanks for giving me the floor.
And Madam Chair, just please note, more than 2 minutes went by, but I wanted to let her finish.
Absolutely. And I think after last meeting, given the fact that all of us had an opportunity to speak and she did not, it's appropriate that she be allowed to go over that 2 minutes and be able to speak on her own behalf. So Lily, thank you for your comments, and Sharon, thank you for the notation on time. With that, would anyone else like to take the floor? I see that Ms. Culp, your hand is raised.
Yes,
You're recognized. Please take the floor.
I have some concerns about some of the articles that Lily has published with different newspapers. And for me, I just feel like we have a responsibility as an advisory committee to the members to make sure that we, especially the residents, to make sure that we give out accurate information. And sometimes giving that accurate information to the public is what we really supposed to stand for as an advisory committee. I'm a little concerned about the danger of some of the articles, because we have a lot of people now that's really going up against this project. And we've got some crazies out there that, sort of lurking around in trees and assaulting contractors, et cetera, et cetera. So I've been very uncomfortable with some of the things that have been said. And I want to make sure that, what's going out to the public is accurate in terms of, what's being printed, actually coming from our advisory committee. And I just think that at this time, for me, I'm just very much concerned, in other words. And I think that the people that are presenting the information to us, they were hired to do so. And I understand Lily being an engineer, environmental engineer, but our job here is to make sure that we advise from a community standpoint. And some of the other things that have been brought into this particular situation really doesn't apply to us. But when you read articles, it's almost like, we're not being, open and honest about what is going on. So that's my main concern. It is for me. I just feel like we need to move forward as a committee, advisory committee member.
Thank you for your comments, Pat. I appreciate that. Miss Amy Taylor, I see that your hand is raised. The chair recognizes you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't know about everybody, but I have received several emails from people in the community in favor of Lily staying on this committee because of her unique experience and her ability to recognize certain things that a lot of people without her training are not going to recognize as far as environmental impact. And we are here to support and represent our communities. And I don't know if you guys got those emails, but I sure did. And they do not want Lily to go. They want her to stay on because she has unique experience and understands the reports that we've gotten as far as, environmental impact. So it just seems to me that we're here to serve the community, and taking Lily off of the committee would probably have even bigger impact than some of the things that have been put out there in the press. That's all.
Madam Chair, it looks like you're on mute.
Sorry, my apologies. My statements were, thank you, Amy, for your commentary. And then I also saw that Mr. Billingsley had his hand raised, so I would like to allow him to take the floor.
Yes, I like myself, Amy, I received emails also. And also working in a community, community project like this, we're not gonna all get along and have the same ideas. So I also am against removing Lily Ponitz. She may not be everyone's cup of tea, but her work is different, and it's just, this is part of what it is when you work on a project like this. Some people are gonna have different viewpoints. And that's what I kind of want that. I want somebody who's not going to see the same way I am, so it can bring me around and see the way she's thinking. Now, at the end, we are going to have to come to a consensus. But to remove somebody because we don't all agree, that's just not right. I don't agree with everything that everybody has to say, but I'm not going to start a motion to remove someone because, to me, I think generational divide. Yes, I think people they think differently than I do on the committee, but I respect it. So that's just how I view things. I'm going to vote no. I want to keep on.
Madam Chair, you're still muted.
My apologies, guys. Sean, thank you for your comments. I see that Ms. Nicole Morato has her hand raised. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Allison. Yeah, I just want to sort of second some of the last few statements from Amy and Sean and say that I agree that, of course, Lily's input is very unique and her expertise is welcome. And, sort of the obvious external, Amy, I did get those emails as well. So knowing that these things are just concerns of the public and that they just need to be addressed in some way or the other, and sort of just making sure that this committee kind of gives a space for that, which Lily is, sort of asking for. So yes, I sort of think it is in our best interest to keep Lily on the committee.
Thank you, Nicole. I see Ms. Ophelia Lee, your hand is raised. The floor is yours. I see her screen looks like it might be frozen at the moment. Ms. Lee, can you hear me? Okay, I will circle back around to her when her screen comes back in. With that, is there anyone else that would like to take the floor? Oh, I think, Ophelia, did you just come back to us?
Gotta stop before I move the whole thing.
Oh, there you are. We're just now hearing you. If you could start again.
Okay. Now, I was just saying that I'm kind of confused as to now why are we trying to vote her in or out? Now, I was under the impression that Lily made some comments during the time we all were supposed to have been not speaking to the press, our neighbors, or no one until we were told it was time. So Lily did she go out before that time and say something to the press? Is this why? I mean, I'm kind of confused now because see, her education ain't got nothing to do with when we saying don't speak to the press before your time. How, I'm just kind of confused as to what now. Why are we trying to get rid of this woman? Help me, somebody. I'm sorry.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
may I clarify the reason why the motion was made and try to do it succinctly? I just want to make sure I started the timer on myself. The motion was made not because of different opinion nor technical expertise. And whether she's on the committee or not, she can still continue to express her views as a citizen, as a member of a community. I'm sure that there are advisory board members here who would listen to her and offer up her opinions, but it was because of the modality of how she communicated that it disparaged the work of the committee and it disparaged the work of our technical team. And I'd also, just in the name of transparency, all of the issues that she raised were addressed by the advisory committee and by our engineers that we are working with. So it's not about a difference of opinion, because difference of opinion is very important to our civil discourse, but it's the modality that disparaged this group, and particularly in the context of the environmental terrorists who are hurting this overall initiative. And lastly, we are not here to discuss whether or not the police academy will be built, but that it will be built in concert with community input, and that we should not be talking to the press or speaking on behalf of the committee unless the committee has indeed created an opinion.
Thank you, Madam Co-Chair, for explaining the purpose of the motion and the debate, or a little bit of the debate that took place last week. Ms. Lee, does that give you a better understanding of the purpose of the motion? Did that answer your question? If you're speaking, you're on mute. Okay, I'm not sure why it's not coming back through, but Ms. Lee, if your connection picks up and you wish to resume your comments, please just raise your hand and you will be recognized. Is there anyone else that would like to take the floor this evening? I see Ms. Phillips. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to just remind everybody that, first of all, this is a board that is considered a base board as it was established by legislation under the Atlanta City Council. As such, there are rules and regulations for participants on base boards. Every one of us has the right to think, to say, and to write whatever we feel about any topic. But realistically, when you are sitting on a base board, you have a fiduciary duty to that board. Fiduciary means you have a legal duty to that board. If you're the person committing the offense and you step back and take a look at what has been said by you and think, how would I feel if somebody wrote this kind of stuff about me and I'm working collectively with a bunch of people who are trying to do what the city has asked them to do. When you violate your fiduciary duty, I don't care whether you're on a board or whether you're in a legal capacity, you bring harm not only to that board or that organization, you bring harm to the people who are members. As you can see, we have had from the articles and all of the insinuations, we have had people who have begun to be violent in ways that we've never seen before, destroying property, making threats against people and their families. When you write things, you need to know that what you put on paper, whether you're an author or journalist or whatever, if you're putting it on paper and you're putting it out there, your actions will have reactions. And I think this is what's going on with this board. We are having reactions to Ms. Pondit's writings, the subsequent actions that have happened as a result of not only her writings, but others from Supporter and Pundit, Peach Pundit. Essentially what has happened here is Ms. Pundit has violated her fiduciary duty to this board. And if there's somebody that doesn't quite understand exactly what I'm saying, we will then ask the chair to let us know what the legal department for the city of Atlanta had to say.
Need time. Madam Chair, you need to get off. Yeah.
I'm muted too. Yes. Thank you very much for your comments, Ms. Phillips. I was simply saying to Ms. Phillips, I could see that she was still saying something, but I could not hear what it was at the end there. Nevertheless,
No,
do
I
we
was,
have any?
I apologize. I was just saying I heard a noise from Sharon. I forgot that she was timing me. Okay, that's all.
Sorry about that.
Absolutely. With that, thank you both. Are there any other individuals that would like to take the floor?
Madam Chair, if I could just say one quick thing for the record that I think is important.
Absolutely.
I know we brought up earlier the emails in which people have received over the last, I guess, few days or so. And I did want to just, again, state for the record that I have also received a slew of emails from people regarding this topic, and that I have responded to each of the folks that have emailed me to make sure that it was completely clear that I do not sit on the committee. For some reason, there was a perception that I sat on the committee and I was conducting this vote in some type of way. And so I did want that to be clear for the record that I am not a member of this committee. I sit totally in the role of administration and ensuring that I continue to be the liaison between this committee, the Police Foundation, and the development team. And so I just wanted to make sure that that was clear for the public or anyone who was also listening.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Nicole, I see that your hand is raised. I will recognize you momentarily. I want to give anybody who has not had an opportunity to speak during this first round an opportunity to take the floor before I visit anybody for a second time. With that, if anyone is interested in taking the floor, please announce yourself. Ms. Jacqueline Rainey, I see your hand is raised. The floor is yours.
Yeah. Yes, I read the email from Lily, and there's a section where she says, quote, "My working speech is inspired by a desire for the truth to be told and to not let this project slide through with half-done due diligence and a rubber stamp." I don't understand that. Is she trying to say the engineers and other contractors that were hired are incompetent or unable to do their work? And is she supposed to be working with them, or is she just on the board giving advice?
Right.
I don't understand that.
Thank you for that, Ms. Rainey. Would anyone else like to take the floor?
Madam
With
Chair,
that,
yeah, just to let you know, process. Ms. Morato has 20 seconds left on her time.
okay, if you will manage the timer for me, and I will go ahead and yield the floor to Ms. Morato. I don't see anyone else wishing to speak that did not get an opportunity to speak before we revisit Nicole for a second time. So I'm going to go ahead and move forward unless I see a hand pop up. All right, Ms. Morato, the floor is yours.
Thanks. Yeah, I was just gonna say that it might be helpful that I don't really know if the fiduciary responsibility thing, I would be hesitant to say that she's not adhering to that from a legal standpoint, just, you know, not necessarily seeing what she's done from that standpoint fiduciarily, what that could be in conflict, and knowing that she's sort of representing these views from a technical and also and so
time.
Oh, okay.
Is that what that was, Sharon?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
the timer. Going
Okay, fair enough. If you want to take a second to wrap that comment off, we'll do that very quickly. And
yeah,
move
and that's
forward.
it. I was just gonna say it's sort of the things that she was bringing up that people that she might feel have not been addressed to the full extent that we might feel or adjust, that there might be some disconnect there, sort of mentioning what Jacqueline was saying as well. So could be space for
Thank
clarity.
you. Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. I appreciate that. Are there any other individuals that wish to take the floor on this matter? Give it just a second. If I see no hands raised, we are going to move forward. I see Miss Ann Phillips. Sharon, do we have time left on the clock for Miss Phillips?
We don't. She used her time. I'm sorry.
Use my time, that's right. Okay.
Yes.
So if no one else has their hand up, we can vote on the motion. And I would propose that we vote by exception. So anyone who does not want Ms. Ponant to be removed from the committee, that at least we note that for the record.
Okay, that is perfectly fine. I don't see any additional hands raised to continue the debate on this. With that, I will move the question to the committee. And again, if you have any objection to the removal of Ms. Lily Ponitz, I ask that you speak now. You may raise your hand, you may speak out. Just state your name so that we can note you for the record. I see Ms. Nicole Morato, your hand. I hear a comment. I see Ms. Nicole Morato's hand is raised. I have Ms. Amy Taylor,
Sorry,
your hand.
This is Lily.
Thank you,
Can I
Lily.
just say something quick? There are people who want to abstain from the vote. Then I think we should be going through this one by one. I don't think we should be voting by exception.
If you would like to conduct a roll call vote, we can move through. Is that your motion?
So do you want to vote on voting by roll call versus voting by exception?
Sorry, yeah, I cut out. It sounds like you heard me, Sharon.
Yeah, I did. So Madam Chair, the motion is she would like for people to vote by roll versus vote by exception. So then we would now have, this is a process vote, right? So and the process is, do you want to vote by roll or exception? So, and I would have to go through the names to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what we'll say is, we'll take her motion. Do you want to vote by roll? And it's yay or nay. Only one person in a community will have the vote. And it's whoever is primary. So, so Allison, you are with Boulder Walk. Is that a yay or nay on?
Excuse me, Lily, can I say something real quick?
Yep.
Lily,
Is this Sean Billingsley?
Yes.
Okay.
This way, this kind of way doesn't give everybody a full way to vote, because Sharon will have a vote and I won't have a vote.
Well,
So
no matter which process would be followed with your community, it has already been established that there's one vote between you and Sharon. Same with Starlight Heights. There's one vote between Amy and Nicole.
That's why I was complaining about this, because now we're on a matter that I figure everyone should have their vote. If we're voting as a community, as a committee, this affects everyone, but one person has a vote on this matter. So only one person has a vote on an important matter.
That's correct.
So,
That is correct.
so Sharon has, her vote is gonna matter when I don't agree with something.
That's
So
correct.
this is the issue right here.
I understand your objection, and we can address that. However, this is a matter that we brought forth before, and we set who is the voting member for each community, and that doesn't
Yeah.
change in the midst of taking another vote on another matter. So at this point, the voting members for those communities have been established. So for example, with Starlight Heights, just now, even in voting by exception, with both Amy and Nicole's hands raised, I noted them as one vote. Whereas Lily, in representation of District 6, has a vote as well. And so hers was noted as a vote. In your instance, between you and Sharon, excuse me, between you and Sharon Williams, your vote, it goes to Sharon Williams, which is something that we have dispensed with prior to today.
Yeah, I understand, but you already knew her vote was going to be to dispel Lily. And this right here, there should be an exception for this type of instance. Everyone needs a vote when you're going to try to take a member off a committee, because everyone's not going to agree. And this just isn't the time to just have one vote, one person. But like I said, you are going to do what you do right now, you know, and it's just going to cause other issues. But go ahead. I mean,
I respect your position. Unfortunately, this is neither the time or the place for us to be able to manage this. This is something that we have addressed ad nauseum, leading up to other meetings. And so what I will say is we'll go ahead and ask that it be noted for the record that your vote would be in favor of Lily staying on this committee in the event that you would have had a vote here. But the decision has been made some time back that in representation of your community, Sharon Williams has the vote. And so if you will, Ms. Williams, for the record, please note Sean Billingsley's position on this.
So noted. All the dissents were noted, because that's important to note in the record, just so you know, from a parliamentary procedure perspective.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we also have the call for a roll call vote. I am perfectly content to move forward with a roll call vote if that's what the committee prefers.
So we need to vote on that, Madam Chair, just as a matter of process. So are you in favor of a roll call vote, yay or nay? Allison Clark? Says you, Allison? You need to vote?
I'm sorry, I was muted. Nay.
No, are you in favor of a roll call vote? So you're saying nay. Okay, I just want to confirm. Okay. Patricia Culp, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Nay.
Ann Phillips, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Nay.
Shirley Nichols, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Nay.
Ophelia Lee, are you in favor of a roll call vote? Ophelia.
Someone is at the front door.
We'll come back to Ophelia. Jacqueline Rainey, are you in favor of a roll call vote? I thought she came late. No?
Yes, she's gone. She just muted.
Nay.
Thank you. Chief Sherbaum, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Nay.
Thank you. Lily Punins, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Yay.
Yay, thank you. Sharon Williams, are you in favor of a roll call vote? I'm voting nay. Hollis Turner, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
No.
So either Nicole or Amy, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Yay.
Oh, thank you. Tori Tucker, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Nay.
Chief McLemore, are you in favor of a roll call vote? Did he leave?
He's on.
He's on, okay. So Chief McLemore, are you in favor of a roll call vote? Yay or nay?
I think I just saw his hand raised.
He's
Hand is
having
raised.
reception issues, he said, but hopefully
Okay.
he'll hear.
So I will just put NA for now, because LaShawn Atwaters, are you in favor? Did she come late?
She's here.
Okay. Are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Abstain. I typically don't vote on these issues.
Fair enough. Jerry Basin, are you in favor of a roll call vote? Are you on mute?
Yeah, she's on mute.
Jerry is on mute. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can unmute her.
Okay, and let me see while we're
There we
doing
go.
that.
Nay.
Nay, thank you very much. Dustin Hillis, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
I don't believe Dustin Hillis is present this evening.
Okay, I thought he came late, sorry. And we still have LaShondra Burks as absent, so let me do the actual count.
LaShondra Burks
Well,
is
LaShondra's
on.
here.
Oh, she is, okay. I didn't, sorry about that. Are you in favor of a roll call vote?
Nay.
Thank you.
And then you'll want to circle back to Ophelia. I'm not sure if she was able to unmute herself.
Ophelia, are you in favor of a roll call vote?
I think she may be having a connection issue based on earlier. I
That's
think
fine.
Anna's saying something. Okay.
But Madam Chair, I think the nays have it, so we have 12 voting no, 1 abstention, and 2 yeses.
Okay. With that, I see
mean-
that there's, oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Continue.
sorry. So that would mean we would now vote by by exception. And that would be for those who would want to vote for her to not be removed. And please note, everyone who spoke in favor of not removing Ms. Ponton, that has been noted for the record. That includes Mr. Billingsley. So now this is the actual vote, and it's only 1 vote per community. And who would want to keep Ms. Ponance on the committee? This is the vote by exception. And please let it be known.
Please let it be known. Raise your hand, speak
Starlight.
loud and clear with your name.
Starlight Heights would like to keep Lily on the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. Lily's hand is raised. Please allow that to indicate her desire to stay on the committee as well.
That's correct.
Absolutely. I have Ms. Morato and Ms. Ponance. Is there anyone
I'd
else?
like to give it just a moment to see if anyone else comes forward.
And then are we in this process, are we able to also ask who is abstaining from this vote?
No, we're by vote by exception would mean that you're only noting those who are who would like to keep you on the committee. We
This
did,
just feels unfair to me because, like, for instance, LaShawn Atwaters just said she normally abstains from votes, but she'll be counted as a vote to take me off the committee essentially by voting by exception.
it really isn't that vote, and plus under roll, her abstention was noted because we did the roll already. So Madam Chair, are there any other hands up?
I do not see any other hands up. I see Lily. And then, of course, I have Nicole on behalf of Starlight Heights with the notation of Sean Billingsley on behalf of East Side Walk.
Okay, but that was earlier in the conversation. All those were already
Absolutely.
noted. For the formal vote, by exception, we have 2 notes, Ms. Morano, Ms. Ponance.
Correct.
Okay.
And for Ms. Ponitz to remain on the committee, she would need 5 votes in favor, and we have not reached that number. And with that, the motion is so moved. I'm sorry.
We still have, but there are still several people who either abstained or did not vote at all. So I'm just very confused by how you're counting these votes.
We have quorum. We took a vote of people present. The motion is so moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. With that, the committee has voted to remove Ms. Lily Ponitz from the committee. We do thank you for your service, and I understand your desire to have remained on the committee. And we ask that as we move forward, if there are opportunities to consult with you or opportunities to bring your expertise forward, we are open to hearing it, just as with any other committee member. With that, I believe we can move forward into our next order of business for the evening. Mr. Freeman, I will ask if you will move Ms. Ponitz over to the audience for the remaining portion of this meeting. if she wishes to stay on as opposed to as a panelist. And thank you all for moving through that process this evening. With respect to our agenda for the evening, we have our site plan updates up next. And I will toss over to Ms. Bree Caldwell for the project update.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Bree Caldwell. I'm with Da Vinci Development. We are the program development managers that work with the Atlanta Police Foundation and all the designers and help facilitate this process. I am trying to pull up my screen. Hang on one second. All right, can everyone see this? All right, good. I am not going to take up much of your time because our designers have really great updates to show you all. I'm going to skip real quick. And back in October, we had kind of shown this roadmap of the development process. I'm not going to read all of this. This will be in your minutes. We'll send this package to Marshall to include in the minutes that you all will get distributed. But I have updated, and if I could tell you, if I could list all of the things we are working on, it would be a novel. So just to give a quick update on some of our current activities. So we are currently in the design and the permitting process for the site. So here's just a quick little snippet of this design process and what the designers have done to help work with the different users and help strategize regarding our budget and phasing is we've broken out some of the components of the project for the design drawings. So right now we are about 50% in our construction documents. That is for the leadership building, the academic classroom building, the fire training station, and the site. And so the design team has received those. We are, as a group, going out to our partners and relationships to check the market because we like to come back and do our budget check. So we are definitely trying to navigate today through this crazy economy and pricing and escalation and inflation and trying to work through this process and strategize to fit in with this budget to work with the Atlanta Police Foundation that we have. We also have received our design documents for the other components, which are the stables and the kennels, the burn building and mock village. And then the firing range will follow after that, after we do a little bit more research on the design for that. As you all know, we're currently working on our LDP, which is the land disturbance permit, to be able to set to prep the site. So we can be able to clear and grub. We'll be setting up our erosion controls and working on putting up everything else that we need to get the site ready for mobilization for building permits. So again, we don't currently right now, we don't have a general contractor on board. You all will be updated when we start that process. So we are using our partners and our resources to help get us to align with our budget and our check of pricing based off of these drawings. So that is where we are today. I'm going to go through this, pass it on to Tony with LS3P to give us update on some of these building components.
Madam Chair, is it okay if I take the floor from here?
Absolutely. I just want to make a quick mention, and maybe this may even be my view, but it looks like the presentation is showing much larger than the screen.
It's working on my end.
Okay. It could be me. Oh, there we go. It is me. Continue on.
Okay, so I'm going to expand a little bit on what Bree spoke on, kind of give an update on where the design team is at. We've been obviously, as you may know, working very hard lately. This 50% milestone, generally as architecture firms go, is kind of arbitrary, because we just pick a point in time and just say, we're going to pull our drawings off of the boards and we're going to give them to a contractor and they're going to price them from here. it's often very subjective, but what we're doing is we're trying to get as much information on our drawings as we can. But what we're going to show tonight is just a brief moment in time, and I want to give an update of several components about the project. So the first building I'm going to show is, I'm going to obviously start right at the top, the leadership building. So we may have talked about the leadership building in the past. The leadership building is basically a small community center, small conference center. It has a community room, lecture hall, small gallery museum space that can tell a little bit of the history of the prison farm, a little bit of the history of the site. Also can discuss a little bit of what the police training center is and how it became a part of this project. We've chosen, if you go to the next slide, Bree, we've chosen to use materials that are similar to what is out at the site. We definitely did not want to be the kind of white building on the hill that stood out that, you know, everybody saw and said, how did that thing get dropped in place here? That's not what our goals are for this project. So we have, you'll see some darker brick, you'll see some simulated wood, you'll see some concrete, and a lot of those are what we'll be using for the project. And when we go to show the next building, which is really the academic building, this is about a 57,000 square foot building. It's basically offices for the training staff, both fire, rescue, and police. It is also classrooms for recruits, a small gymnasium for in-service officers. A lot of the training rooms are varied. We'll have some that include computer training, some that are directed towards EMS. We'll have simulators in this building. And if you go to the materials in the next slide, you'll see that this has a lot of the look and feel of the other building. Because this is the campus, and this is really the two buildings that are open to the public, let's say. These we really wanted to fit in together and to work together. The other building that we have that you'll actually have a very good view of is the next building, which is the horse barn. That will be, well, actually, we're going to go to we'll go to the horse barn. Thank you. So the stables, so this building is the closest one to Key Road. You know, due to the discussion we had with this committee, which were really great, when we switched around that entrance and went to Constitution, this really became a secondary point of entrance for us. It will be gated in between and behind the two existing structures that are there. We'll just have a gravel road basically leading up to it as a second point of entrance for the mounted patrol only that will enter up on this facility. And this is kind of the look and feel that will be. It has space for 14 horses, which is kind of the current stock for the mounted patrol, but they can expand to up to 18 horses. And we're also going to use the Georgia Power easement area that's out there currently. We're working with them to use that as the pasture land for the horses, because basically every horse needs about an acre of property as their pasture land. So I think we're going to go back a slide to the training fire station. So the training fire station has offices for staff. It has an apparatus bay. We've minimized the size and height. Some fire stations that you may see will be simply you basically just the apparatus bay, and that will stick out the most. We wanted that to kind of sit behind where the facility is. It'll be offices, it'll be classrooms, clean and dirty. And I've been taught that term, and that the dirty quote unquote classroom is the one where, say you're coming in from training from a simulated fire, you have carcinogens on your body. That's when you have your equipment on. That's the dirty classroom. And the clean classroom is, you know, we're dressed as we are tonight, and we go and we have a class in that classroom. They try to keep all those separate. They try to never have a fire rescue personnel going home with any of those carcinogens or things that they can contaminate somebody else and take it back to someone in their family. So now I don't know what the next slide is, Bree. After we go past, okay, so this is the kennel. So the kennel is not a huge building. You know, we're talking about probably 5,000 square feet total. So there are temporary kennels, basic plastic, about 4x8 kennels. The dogs, canine dogs officers do not stay in the kennel 24/7. They basically come in and as a spot for the officer to put in the canine in one of the kennels temporarily. They actually take their canines home with them every night. So this facility does have some training space inside, and it also has a 6,000 square foot yard outside the kennel. And the next building is the burn building. So this is a training facility next to the training fire station for them to use. It has burn facilities, both that are gas props, as well as they put wood pallets in them. And it's just basically a place for them to learn how to put out a fire when it starts, what the conditions are. They have real life conditions of, maybe a bedroom or a kitchen or something like that. They'll be able to climb the roof, go around telephone wires. There is a tower portion that goes up a little higher so they can raise their ladders. So that's basically what you're going to be seeing there. The next one, I think, is the mock village. So this isn't, I saw our group put this together, and this is not made up of like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 buildings. This is only 4 buildings. But what you're actually seeing here is the 4 buildings that have the roofs on them. And then right next to it, our group has just broken out what the floor plan of that building looks like on the inside. Very simple structures. And these are basically just training structures for fire rescue, EMS, and police. We basically have a 2-story house. We have a store. We do have a hotel, and we have a nightclub. And I loved a saying that we heard when we were at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center. They introduced their whole project to basically say that they never wanted their personnel, as when they get out of their recruiting classes, to ever go into a position that they've never seen before. So they never want their first time to be their first time. And that made a lot of sense to me after I thought about it. So if they've trained at these facilities, we built these facilities properly, any kind of emergency that they see should never be the first time that they see it. I don't think we have slides for this, but I just wanted to mention really quickly the 3 site elements that we have. We have a large skills pad. That is basically a concrete pad for cone courses to be put down. We have a skid pad, which basically we hose down, or they hose down. We have actual irrigation system on that pad, and they basically learn how to get out of the controlled skid. And then we have an EVOC course, which is driving instruction. So that's all I've got if you want to go to the site plan.
Thank you so very much. I see that we have Mr. Bob Hughes to present the outdoor space update.
Madam Chair, if you don't mind, if I could just add one statement right before Bob goes.
Absolutely.
Sorry to interrupt. I was just going to say again, I know Tony did a good job of highlighting the leadership building there, but the 3 things that I think are definitely really important for this group, which I'm most excited about, is once we got to that design, again, what we continue to hear from the committee was talks about, again, the public access to some of those spaces. And so within that leadership building, as he mentioned, one of the things that we were able to include in there is a community room. And so that is, imagine, if you will, a small, conference center type of space that has a full AV, and it's allowed, and it's pretty much set up for the community to be able to use it for HOA meetings, resident meetings, and things like that, for the things in which you guys are conducting there in close proximity to the site. A couple of other things that are in there is that public auditorium, which is a really nice size auditorium that, again, we can do much larger events and larger space, larger things within that as well. And then also the ballrooms also, again, allow us to do things for the residents and for the community members. So I just wanted to make sure that everybody got that from that presentation.
Thank you very much for that clarification. With that, Mr. Bob Hughes.
Great. And, actually, that's a great lead in to this slide, because I think we've talked about this multiple times through this process, how the vision of this campus has always been one that really is a physical representation of symbolically the police and the community, fire and the community rescue, everybody together as part of the community. And as Marshall said, in the leadership building here, there are those opportunities to bring people in. But if you see here also, we have what we call the PT field, D, and a pavilion, which is E on the end of it. And the whole concept is that pavilion is as much a part of the park system as it is our campus. And that field is a field that on weekends, when it's not being used for training or the facilities here, or in the evening, you could be down there with your kids kicking a soccer ball around. So that notion that we have this duality of places and activities, it's really great to see it take place. We've talked about this on a larger scale, and tonight we just want to walk you through some images around this core part of campus right here. So Bree, maybe jump to the next image right there. From the traffic circle as you arrive, we really do want this to have a campus feel and a welcome human scale to it. And so you arrive at this traffic circle, you go down this processional entrance, whether you're coming in here as a cadet or an officer or a community member for a meeting in that leadership building, you arrive at this place that talks about respect and human scale to it. Next slide. When you get to the front door, there's a kind of welcoming plaza outside of the leadership building where really, there's seating walls, there's landscape, there are things that really connect the indoors and the outdoors and this transition into the campus itself. Then next slide. Between the two buildings talked about, there really is something that I think is I don't know, I'm going to say the word special, but that belies this. It's great. It's really the idea of creating a memorial plaza, some sort of wall, some sort of area that can contain the names of officers of all of the people that we're training here who have given their lives to service all of us. And there can be services here, people can sit here for reflection, but I think it's this continuity of those who've gone before us and what they've given and what we're responsible for that really just sort of resonates with a new cadet as well as somebody who may be retired coming back in that sense. I think it's a very important part of the campus. Next slide, Bree, if you would. This is on the outside of that wall, just so that the space is contained, but it really links the two buildings together as an important hinge, if you would, in between the two buildings. Next slide. And then on back of the leadership building, whether it's for the people that are there training each day, whether it's there for an event, you're able to come out to a very nice patio space and overlook that field and the pavilion on the other side. And you really get this incredible campus sense of place where the park and the buildings and the campus come together here. Next slide. One of the things kind of back to that memorial, this is a view from a room that would be a room for recruits. So new recruits would come in here and you want to talk to them about people who've given the ultimate sacrifice for all of us. So that connection, again, generational, one after the next is never lost. Next. That large field and that area on the back of the building also doubles for graduations and other ceremonies that could be held here. So we've just tried to model that and illustrate it. And then next, just looking back out at the pavilion and to the park. That's a placeholder. The pavilion's not really designed yet, but it's a placeholder for that. And the notion that we could be down there having a multiple neighborhood community event here, as well as graduations. It's really multiple types of things that we want to have going on here at the campus. And there may be one more slide. I mean, that was it. So that's just a quick view of the places that we're creating around that core campus. Before, we talked about it at a larger scale, and we wanted to show you how we're bringing that larger scale down to this scale and weaving this sense of community and training and people and our whole city together here. I'd be glad to answer any questions anybody has.
Thank you very much for that presentation. The floor is open for questions, and I see that Miss Amy Taylor has her hand raised.
Hello, Bob and or Tony, I'm wondering if there are plans to use sustainable materials for the buildings and the areas that you're talking about. I saw little hints of that in the drawings, but I'm just wondering if we're looking into LEED certified buildings, or if there are plans to use sustainable materials.
Yeah, definitely, Amy, and a great question. And literally that's a goal of the city. It's a standard of the city of Atlanta that any building they're connected with now reaches LEEDs. And Tony, you may better tell me today where we are on the LEED scale that we're targeting.
Thanks. I'd like to give an update on that. So, Amy, thanks for the question. One thing that was unique to this project when I came on, it's not often that a nonprofit says to an architect, we'll do what we can to certify the buildings for LEED, but then we're going to hand off the keys to the city of Atlanta. And that was a particular challenge for us, but it's in a way like we're working for the city of Atlanta. We're not going to reach net zero on this project, but we are definitely performing much better than I even thought the buildings would be. We currently we're going to certify LEED Silver for the project. That's what we're committed to at this point. We're 50% and we're above the point levels for LEED Silver now. We can only hope that we'll keep increasing that. We've done certain things specifically related to the mechanical system that you never would have seen done on these facilities if it was just a nonprofit building the buildings. We've worked with the local municipalities to think about bus service to these facilities. We've certainly worked, and Bob's staff has worked very hard with our civil engineers to work on the hydrology of this facility. Thinking about the plantings of this facility, we were just on a long talk today about how we're definitely not going to lose any points for anything related to our landscape or exterior site. So that's where we are today. We're committed to it. We've thought of it at every moment. And we're also dedicated to providing solar on both facilities. We're currently in discussions with Georgia Power and private contractors about putting PV on both of these roofs. Currently, we are showing in this, it looks like it's just a big white roof because it's not technically our LS3P rendering. It is Bob's, meaning HGOR's rendering. But the B roof is pretty much wherever there's not a mechanical unit, it's covered by PV panels. And leadership, the only surface that's not covered by PV is basically that lower courtyard, mechanical courtyard, where you see some mechanical units and little squares down there. The rest is all covered by PV.
The other thing that I will say, Amy, relative to your question, which again, I'm glad you asked, is that in addition to LEEDs, and sometimes when we're pursuing something like this, there's a tendency to chase points, is what it's called, right? Well, I've got that point, so I'm going to quit spending money there. One of the things that Tony referred to here that we have worked very diligently with our civil engineering partners is to use the landscape here as a functioning landscape to absorb and maximize infiltration of our water. Because it was one thing that Atlanta must always do. The number one critical issue here is water and water quality. So to be able to really advance that forward. And when Tony says we're not losing any points, if there were more points to get, we'd probably be getting them.
Well, those are wonderful comments to hear. Also wondering if maybe we've consulted with Southbase or any other organizations that specialize in sustainable buildings. Also, I kind of wanted to make one other comment about the pavilion. Would it be possible to make that more like a stage situation versus just a covered patio area?
I
Definitely
would
was
certainly
that-
like to say, and I think Bob would echo this, that what you saw in the rendering is, something we basically wanted to put on paper so you could see in a rendering of something there. So
It's
right now,
slightly better than putting a red dot on the drawing. Pavilion.
it's one
But
step
you're right.
above the
I
red
like
dot.
what you're saying.
Yeah. So it definitely has a lot of design work to do, but the ultimate idea and the concept actually came out of this committee, is to have an offering there, not only so we could use it, like recruits could use it as an outdoor classroom with their instructors Monday through Friday, but it's also a place, if you have a graduation that wants to be there, you can put your graduation staff at the front and then, have a graduation out in the field. So I think like Bob said, that's really, he put it well. It's a step above a red dot for sure. And we have a lot of work to do. And we'll be giving updates as we go along with this committee. So to get your ideas as we move forward.
Yeah, I think I heard Marshall say that he's taking suggestions for the band we're going to have in that pavilion when we all open this, the multi-neighborhood get-together.
That's right.
Okay.
Right.
So
There we
please
go.
email Marshall with the name of the band you want to have there.
Okay.
There we go. Well, thank you so much, Amy, for your questions, and thank you, Bob and Tony, for those responses. I see that Miss Ann Phillips has her hand raised, so I will recognize Miss Ann Phillips, and then after Miss Phillips, Miss Culp, the floor was yours.
Okay. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Bob and Tony, earlier, Bree mentioned that a contractor had not been selected. Will this be a bidding process for the contractors? And if so, is it going to be a nationwide bidding process, or is it going to be pretty much Metro Atlanta?
Brandon, you want to?
Marshall, do you want to take it or do you want me to take it?
Tony, either you take it or Bree can come back in too and help with that question.
I mean, I can take it. It's fine. I think it's just saying that we don't have a contract involved is simply that we don't have a contract in hand with somebody, but it will not be we'll go out for bids. It'll be a structured bid and negotiated. And that contractor, whoever it is, will be going out for 3 bids or 2 bids to other contractors, select contractors that they work on that do this type of work.
Thank you for that. Miss Culp?
Yeah, I wanted to ask whether or not there will be some handicap accessibilities especially for residents that are coming in as handicapped in terms of the parking lot, in terms of going into the building.
Yeah, absolutely. A great question. Yeah, from parking to building, A, we would do that, but B, it's legally required that we do that, right? But also even down, there's a little bit of grade change between A and B and the C, which is our memorial wall and plaza. Everything on this site, including the lawn area, D, will be ADA accessible.
Okay.
And our lawn, we're actually putting an under drain system below our lawn. We did West Side Park for the city of Atlanta recently. And in our fields out there, we have under drain systems, because what happens is if it gets wet, right? If it rained the night before and you have graduation and you got a loved one in a wheelchair, that's a real problem. That under drain system helps to make that field even fully more accessible when we get there. So Ms. Culp, all I'll say to you is the egalitarian access to everything is high value to us.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you again for the question and for the response. Are there any additional questions?
Madam Chair, I just have a follow-up. It was on the RFP
Sure.
process. Is that, I wasn't sure, I wasn't clear on, is this a national bidding process, or is it regional to just Georgia?
It is not a national process. The difficulty you find in national is that you don't have a kind of a relationship already built. A general contractor will not have a relationship built with their subcontractors. So it'll be a local contractor.
Okay,
It'd be a local general contractor and then probably local subs. As Tony said, if you don't have a presence in the market, you're not going to be competitive in the market. But it also is a very inclusive process.
We'll be following also the guidelines per our lease as well.
okay.
Thank you, Tony, Bob, and Bree. And Sharon, thank you for that question. Are there any additional questions?
I have one final question, just, getting back to LEED certification. Is gold, and I know you don't want to just chase points, but is gold a possibility? Because it seems like you're above silver right now. And I know it's not blood.
We're going to try. We didn't initially, we thought committing to silver was a lofty goal for nonprofit, but we've met that so far pretty easily. And we'll keep going. And I'll give updates on that, Ms. Williams, as we go forward, because I think it's really early in the process to talk about where we're going to end up.
Fair enough. Thanks, Tony.
Thanks.
Fair enough. Well, thank you all for the thoughtful comments and questions. And thank you, Bree, Tony, and Bob for your presentations this evening. I want to move forward before we run out of time here to Chief Tyus, who's going to give us the security update for APD.
Hey, good afternoon. No, I was enjoying that presentation as much as anyone. My officers are going to be happy to get into that facility. So thank you for the update. And actually, Chief Shearbaum and I was just going back and forth about how we can get that presentation to the officers who are out there securing that site. So that just kind of segues into what I'm going to talk about. So I'm sure you may have been seeing officers out there. So what we've committed is like at least twice a week, we take 20 to 25 officers out there, break them up into smaller groups, and they grid that property off and they walk that entire property looking for any trespassers that may be out there, look for any tree houses they may have started building, and also looking for supplies that they may be stockpiling in the woods. Knock on wood, we haven't met any resistance out there while we've been on that property. And we have been able to locate several caches of supplies, including everything from a chainsaw to two-way radios. So anytime we locate stuff out there, we bring in our federal and state partners, they take a look at it and we look at it for investigative evidence. While we physically patrol that property at least twice a week, we also put our drone up over there in the area. We were putting our helicopter up, but we realized it was just causing too big of a disruption to the neighborhood. So we decided to go small. So now we'll put our drone up at least once or twice a week. And even though we only have the big contingent of people out there twice a week, Major Canton, Lieutenant Thomas, they walk that property almost daily, just looking for trespassers and looking for things. Again, we haven't really seen anything, but we just ask the residents, be alert. If you see anything suspicious, please reach out to us. And if we're having any large scale operations out there, I'll be sure to push out an email or something to everybody in the group. Anybody have any questions for me?
Thank you for that update. The floor is open for questions.
I would just like to say, excuse me, Chief Tyus, I just want to commend you for the job that you're doing. I know that it's a very large property. And so I know that, again, it's also been very hot days and what feels like 100+ degree weather. And so I appreciate everybody being out there and again, continuing to do the work. And so I know it's not easy, but I appreciate it very much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We appreciate that.
Thank you. I see Miss Jacqueline Rainey has her hand raised. The floor is yours.
I was wondering, Chief Titus, since you all are, as you say, walking the property daily or trying to really pay attention to what's going on in that area, is it pulling some of your officers off of their regular patrols?
Yes.
Well, so what I don't do is pull any officers that are responding to 911 calls. Every officer we've been using so far is under my command, and that's the Community Services Division. So we may pull 1 or 2 people from our passport. We may pull an officer from our PAL unit, Police Athletic League, and we may pull 1 or 2 officers from our our Hope team, our college liaison. So we've gotten creative with the bodies we're using so that we don't disrupt any 911 services.
Thank you for that question and the answer. Are there any additional questions? I don't see any hands raised. Chief Tyus, thank you very much for your presentation today and for keeping us up to date. And again, please do send those emails forward if something is taking place so that we can share that out to the committee so that committee members are aware. I believe that's something that Amy Taylor brought up last meeting, just so that we have a better idea of what's happening in the community.
I will, Allison. Thank you.
Thank you so much. With that, I will open the floor for general discussion this evening. And just to start out, since I know that we are tight on time, I would like to present some times for our, or some dates, I should say, for our upcoming meetings beyond this one. Check your calendars. Please note the following dates: July the 19th, and we're sticking to our Tuesday. So we have July 19th, August 30th, and September 27th. And of course, I will send those out in email to each of you as well. And if there are any challenges, please let me know so we can try to make sure that our dates work for the committee. And with that, the floor is open for general discussion. We have 4 whole minutes.
Madam Chair, if there are no objections to the dates, I will get out to the entire committee calendar invites for all of these dates, and I will also make the public notice regarding these 3 dates.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. Are there any objections this evening? I see Jacqueline Rennie, your hand is raised.
No objection to anything, but I just wanted to say, I enjoyed watching the different projects, the way they are designed and the way the whole area is designed. It looks like it's going to be very, very good for the police officers and the firemen and rescue people. So I'm looking forward to it being completed.
I second
Thank you for that, Jacqueline.
Yes.
Ms. Rainey, I'd just like to add that I appreciate the comments, and I think you're 100% right about the work that it'll do for police and fire. And again, not just in Atlanta, but in the region for public safety professionals when you think about EMS and their life-saving training. But I also have just a big of hope that the facility will also be as useful to the community as it will to the public safety professionals.
It was nice to see some of the community-facing elements and get a much better grasp on what those elements actually look like, and the amount of thought that has gone into it, and our feedback that has been received and incorporated. So really happy to see all of the progress being made. Ms. Jerry Basin, I see your hand is raised. The floor is yours.
Thank you. I have a question about the dates. I think you said September the 23rd.
September 27th.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say September 23rd is on a Friday.
Yes, I have July 19th, August 30th, and September the 27th.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Are there any other items for general discussion? I see Ms. Williams, yes.
Yeah, I just want to say, I think we had a productive meeting today. I know parliamentary procedure can be a little fussy at times for folks, but I thought we had really great debate, good diverse opinions, and just a really great sense of protocol and productivity. So I just want to share that with the team.
Thank you for that, Sharon. I know that, oh, I'm sorry, Bob Hughes, I see you have a hand raised. Go for it.
I do. Following up on Ms. Rainey's comments, I think we've said this before, and I put it back out there. I know we're on summer vacation now, but as we head back into the school year in the fall, we just offer up that if any of the schools in the area, if we can come in and talk about how we plan something like this, you know, from a planning, landscape architectural standpoint. We would love for this to be educational to younger people in the community who might find our professions interesting as career paths for them. So we just offer that back up as something to say, if y'all find the process interesting, we would love to share it to younger people as well.
Especially if they can draw, Bob.
Anymore,
I'm telling you, it is hard out there, folks. So we are recruiting early.
Oh, that's great.
I think that is a wonderful offer. You know, again, this is something I've mentioned before that is near and dear to me, opportunities for the young members of this community and, you know, something that can expand the horizon. So I absolutely love that you're putting that forward.
You know what, and expand the horizons, right? You don't know what kid is looking around going, wow, that's me. I could do that.
Right.
And we'd love to be there.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. That is wonderful. Well, with that, if I don't have anyone else looking to take the floor, I would like to just take a moment to thank you all. I know that this meeting and even the last and some of the conversation in between has been a lot. And there has been, you know, quite an undertaking, regardless of your feelings on, you know, the measure or the motion that was passed today. The most important thing for this committee to be able to look forward to is understanding that we each are here because we want to be here. We are each going to operate in a way that is respectful of one another and respectful of the process before us as we continue forward. And I think there's so much good work left ahead of us. And I'm proud of everything that has gone into our work to date. And I have no doubt that we will continue to bring forward really great recommendations as we move through this process. And so keep sticking with us as we move through this. Thank you for the time, the effort that you all have each put into this. And that also extends to the development team. You all step up at every turn to make sure that we understand what is going on, and you dedicate your time, effort, expertise, and guidance as we move through all of these, you know, as we move through this process. So appreciate every last one of you for all that you are doing here, and look forward to our next meeting. And hopefully then we'll be able to get our fire rescue update, which I am really looking forward to. We've got some great information ahead of us. And I see Miss Williams, I think, were you saying something?
Oh, just wrap it up.
Oh, I'm sorry. No worries, ladies and gents. I understand. It is 7:32 p.m. and we are ready to go. If I can get a motion to adjourn, we can get out of here.
Adjourn. Yeah.
And I will second that. Thank you all for your time this evening.
Well, thank you, Allison. Thank you,
all.
Marshall, and thank you, everyone else. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks.
Oh.
Did somebody say something?
No, I think they were on their own phone. They were on their phone.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
All right, good night.
Thank you.
Good night.